Hello, y'all.
Y'all.
Hello, y'all. Welcome to Digging In with Gardenstead. And this is Liesje. And Liesje is here with me because I have to introduce her to you. Liesje is our creative director behind the scenes and somebody who for the last year has really been helping us find our Gardenstead voice and helping us communicate with you guys. I don't know, Liesje, you're kind of like a behind the scenes spy. She is so involved in the groups. I feel like she probably knows lots of you already and you don't even know her. So now she's here and you can meet her, and welcome Liesje to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Katie. It's interesting to think about what I do.
So much, I know.
Well, it's
So many hats.
so many hats, and I've learned so much about gardening since I started writing for Gardenstead. You know, I have a garden. I have gardened, but now I know so many things that happens sometimes where someone will say, so my tomatoes are having a problem, and I'll be reeling off what the solution is, not ever having tried it myself, but
having done all of the research.
all the research, and this is what people say works, so you should try this, and they're so happy.
Yeah.
And it's such a language too, learning how to speak with gardeners about gardening and authenticity and learning from the community and what they're talking about. There's just so much out there.
So we're here for a very exciting reason.
Yes, very exciting.
We have reached 500,000 members of our Gardenstead community.
That's 500,000.
That's 500,000 people.
500,000 people who are into gardening in like a deep way.
Yes.
And they love to talk to each other about it and learn from each other. And I don't know, teach each other.
Oh, for sure.
But in like the best way, where you have a bona fide problem, for example, and you'll put it out there, and then before you know it, someone is giving you the answer, or 10 people are giving you the answer. Like I see it when I scroll through the groups when I'm thinking of topics. I'll be like, what is it that people are concerned about? You know, like we recently did the one podcast about pests.
Pests, yeah.
And people have pest problems, unfortunately. We all do, but
some in our gardens and some not in our gardens.
some life
I have
pests.
pest problems in my life.
Next episode.
Next episode.
And then you realize that there's people just stepping up to say, this is how you can deal with this problem. This is what's worked for me. This is something they say works but doesn't work. You know, these sorts of things. It's sort of magical. It's an outlet. It's a connection. It's a feeling of belonging, like all good communities give you, like you're part of your people. And I think maybe that's what we, like the Gardenstead community seem to have. It's like they find their people, you know, even within the people, they find more of their people. Do you know what I mean? Because some people are more about...
Are you a veggie person? Are you a houseplant person?
Yeah, or you herbs or succulents or, you know, cacti. It's worlds within worlds. And then even within those worlds, there's more worlds. And
it's a very interesting... you know, microcosm of...
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
So many different.
And we brought it, I don't know. So I am just very grateful that we have such a wonderful group of people. A lot of gardeners from the States. We've got a lot of people joining us now from the UK. I have to shout out all the people in the Philippines that are part of our community. We have members from everywhere.
It's true. It's true. It's really amazing just to think. And it's also like, to me, the other interesting thing about all these interconnected groups of gardeners is that the sharing of knowledge is happening in different geographic areas, which to me is like fascinating, because like even when I go to write articles, newsletters, whatever, I'm thinking, who am I talking to? Well, okay, I'm talking to gardeners, but gardeners from where? And then I think, oh gosh.
And gardeners in what growing
I've
zone?
got to think about what's growing where, and that is such a consideration. And so I think, gosh, I hope that I am, you know, meeting the needs of gardeners here, there, and everywhere. But it's an interesting, like a wonderfully interesting challenge.
Yeah. We've covered lots of topics.
We have.
You've educated me about lots of topics. But the one, you know what? I'm going to talk first about the one that got me the most excited.
Okay. I'm so curious. Because we haven't even pre-talked about this.
No.
So I don't know.
So what got me the most excited was we got a story back from a new filmmaker that we were working with. highlighting a permaculture life in Mexico.
Yes.
Topic-wise, it was interesting for me personally. I didn't have a lot of background knowledge around permaculture. So knowledge-wise, it was great. But you know what made me the most exciting was just how beautiful, showcasing our, you know, the natural landscape in this very, very simplistic,
Pared down,
stripped right down content was, and or topic was, and it was just so beautiful.
My favorite, I have two actually.
Okay.
Because I can't narrow it down. But my first tied for favorite is Reed
Yes.
from Sustainable Roots,
So smart.
who I felt could do a documentary on what she knows about handling
everything.
invasive plants,
Yeah.
right? And learning how to make stuff from garlic mustard. And the way that she talked with us, but then also with her workshop people, it was just, to me, she had such a compassion for the natural world, and it was so beautifully evident. I could have talked to Reed all day. I'm like, just teach me more.
Yeah,
you
keep
know,
talking.
I am your sponge right here, right here.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope I did her justice in the article because the video was beautiful and it was just so wonderful to learn from her. So that's my number one. Number 1A.
1A.
Number 1B
Yeah.
is Wheelbarrow Farm,
Yeah.
which to me, because you know how excited I got about that solar power tractor. The idea that you could power a whole farm with solar panels, to me is just, I mean, I don't know why I feel like a child at Christmas at that kind of excitement, but the fact that they're doing that there is, I mean, it's the future for one thing, but then it's also, Austin was just so well spoken and he took such time to tell us, and he just, I don't know, he was sort of evocative to me of all that can be right about growing things in the way that they do. Do you know what I mean? And he wasn't the owner, obviously.
No, but there was such a confidence, and I think, you know, a trueness to whatever his fundamental beliefs and integrity is, and it was just that
shining
came through.
Yeah, just lovely. Just
So
lovely.
hopefully others found that as inspiring too, because I'm with you. That was
It was good.
That was a good
Beautiful.
one.
Loved it. Well, I really do think in our community that something that's really intriguing to me is this instant connection possibility amongst people who speak a common language. And it can be, I think, in any community where you meet your people, right? But this language of gardening, I think, is really transcendental, can transcend, anyway, something like that.
transcendental.
Where you can go from a culture to a culture, and you're still going to be growing things in soil, right? You're still going to be putting a seed in the ground or a seedling or whatever, taking care of it until it grows, and then harvesting it if it's a vegetable, or just continuing to care for it in whatever shape it is. And you can see it happen when gardeners meet each other. You know, there's instant connection, or at least that's been my experience.
How are your tomatoes doing this season?
Oh my gosh, it's like this bush. You should see it. It's tremendous. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly my comparison for sure.
Are grubs getting your lawn like mine?
No.
Like we kind of,
Yeah. Right? And so you can just immediately have that common ground. Oh my God, I did not mean that pun. That just came out.
It's like a swear jar.
Yeah.
Where's our swear jar?
Here's the nickel. So that connection. And then when we did the podcast featuring Michelle Obama's book, that was something that was in there for sure, that connection where, you know, she's going to go to these state dinners where, you know, meeting with Angela Merkel or whomever, and they're asking about the White House garden because it's a garden. Of course they want to know about the garden because they probably have one in their own, whatever,
White House version.
White House version in Germany. My goodness, that's not very geopolitical, but we do our best.
That's okay.
That instant-
We're a gardening community.
That's right. Yeah.
We're not pretending to be anything else.
But for sure, it's cross-cultural, and it breaks down barriers. It creates a platform to speak to, which is beautiful. And you do see it happen. You see it happen in our groups, for sure.
Do you know what I love that I didn't even think of until right now? It provides a common language, yes, to people from different walks of life, different locations. Also creates a common language for people of different ages. So
Yeah.
I have, in the last couple years, utilized gardening as a connection tool with the kids.
True.
So it's just you know, there's lots of things I can go out and do with my kids. They like going to the park. They like shopping now, unfortunately, because they're getting into be teenagers. They like all of these things that we do, but gardening is something that is so easy and accessible and just kind of right there in some way, shape, or form, really close. Like,
it can be fun, right?
It's fun,
The
and
dirt.
it's a connection.
Yeah.
It's something that's really kind of wholesome, and you feel good working with your kids at. And yeah, that has been a big bonus to me in discovering that one over the last year.
For me, the comparative example goes the other direction. Is my partner Stuart's mom is a really amazing gardener, and so when I first met Stuart, that was something that we could talk about, was gardening.
That was your entry into the relationship.
For sure, because otherwise, you know, it's that sort of like
Awkward period.
You know, who is this person coming into my son's life, etc.
Yeah. You were a winner. You could garden.
Ish. So one of the things I've noticed in our communities, or in our community of communities, because it is a community of communities, because they're all different kinds of gardeners.
There's so many subsects.
Yes, is how deep some people's knowledge is.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's amazing how many people there are out there who have grown things in a way that you're just a bit staggered by.
Yeah.
You think, and you have a job, like, other than gardening?
Yeah.
Like, how? How do you accrue that level of knowledge? And then how do you put that kind of knowledge out into the world for other people to benefit from, largely for free? That's what these people in our groups are doing. They're just sharing the joy and the, you know, wisdom that they have out of a passion. And so, and for the best reasons, you know, so other people can grow things well.
So do we have a favorite post from inside our community?
I do. Do you want me to go first?
I hope it's not the same one as me.
Well, I don't know. We also didn't pre-talk about this, so.
Okay, go. Let's see.
Mine is, someone in our groups was growing a corpse plant.
This is not going to be my favorite, but this is amazing.
I know.
I didn't know about this.
So she was growing, she had grown a corpse plant, and it was going to flower. And so we were all avidly watching for her post.
So corpse plants,
yes,
only flower once every 7-9 years, like a long time in between flowerings.
Yes, it's a very long time.
It's super rare, and it's consolidated. It's a short period.
Yes.
Like days,
it's
hours.
Very short, and apparently the smell is what gives the corpse
smells like a
flower
corpse.
its name. And I really apologize to the original poster if I'm getting the name of the plant incorrect, but corpse plant, corpse flower.
Yep.
And I was avidly watching to get the news of this.
Is it flowered yet?
Has it flowered? And then it did. And we were all like, and then we were all glad it wasn't smell-o-vision.
So part of the magic within our group, I swear, comes from a really knowledgeable, enthusiastic group of ambassadors that we have.
Yep.
Working with us and embedded in the communities, really helping everybody out with their questions and guiding them to where they can find answers. And I'm so grateful to have these people as members of our community. And I'm gobsmacked daily with
the knowledge.
What they know.
And it's not just like knowledge acquired via research, right? This is knowledge acquired hands-on.
Yes.
And you know it is when you read the answers. And you
Absolutely.
think, I sort of think that sort of like marvelous, that they're sort of like in some ways like this secret core of helpers in like our communities, just helping out.
Behind the scenes. Keeping everything oiled and going.
Right? Keeping your plants healthy.
Yeah.
Well, helping, because obviously the growers are keeping them growing and healthy, but.
Thank you, Nancy and Lauren.
Yes,
we
absolutely.
Love you.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and such a huge amount of knowledge. And then the amount of information I think that they give us as well when we're thinking of ideas and topics to cover.
Yes.
Like it's not just that they're out there answering questions for people about their plants.
They know what's most important to you guys. They know what people are most interested in. They know what we should be showcasing. So maybe we'll tell them a little bit about the process with our ambassadors. We meet with our ambassadors every week. We get either a report or a meeting, or we're in conversation with them to just kind of
take the temperature.
Keep our
Finger
Ooh, I was going to do pulse.
pulse.
Temperature and pulse both work.
We're like plant doctors.
Just keep, the pulse on what's
Yeah.
important to everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for them. And I think that they are the secret to our success.
We could mic them in for the next conversation so they can give us even more insight into the community. It's terrific.
Yeah. Katie, do you know that everybody's worried about their whatever's this week? No, I didn't know, but now we're going to help them.
We're going to write that on the list. When we speak with Rowena, and she has these great ideas about hydroponic and aquaponic growing.
Rowena is another writer, member of your team.
Yes, and she is so clever and so future thinking, and she's young and she's dynamic, but she is talking about hydroponic and aquaponic growing, and I bet there is a community out there that would love to have a platform.
Absolutely. Look at how many people are interested in all the green walls and the biophilic design. So
And
hydroponic, yes.
Yeah, and that's going to help. Aquaponic growing is fueling vertical growing, which is going to be the future of agriculture probably, because we're running out of space. It's being developed.
Yeah, small space gardening. A lot of you are already trying it on, your balconies and stuff.
Yep.
And do you know what that also reminds me of? The product we found at Cultivate.
Oh yes,
that
pop-up
really
garden.
helps you, pop-up garden, that helps you maximize your space, and you
grow-
can grow things sideways, and you can grow things upside down, and you can add little components. It's definitely something that is becoming more and more prominent as we tackle kind of.
Well, I think there's all kinds of reasons people are wanting to grow their own food now. I mean, there's a bunch of them that we probably don't need to get into for all kinds of reasons right now.
That's
but
another podcast.
That is another podcast. But people that are creating clever things like that, for sure. And the other thing is sustainable growing or native plant gardening, because those two things are other, if there's people who have their deeper knowledge of how to grow things sustainably, to conserve water or to use less of the earth's resources to create whatever they're creating, food or just ornamental plants or whatever that thing is. I think if we could create a platform, that would be marvelous. And native plants, that's another one.
We're busy.
So much possibility.
Now, not to put any more pressure on us, because most of the time the pressure is fun. But there is a pressure to be truthful and, I don't want to say authentic. What's another word for authentic?
Genuine?
Genuine? Yes.
Yeah.
We want you guys to get the most information out of the topics that we cover. And we really feel a responsibility to that. And I know you deliver on that all the time with your kind of insights and research and all of that work that goes in behind the scenes. And I just constantly in the back of my head have that as my little check to say, are we doing this justice? Is this something that we should be promoting? Is this something that we should be discussing? There is a high level of responsibility, I feel. And the more and more people that join just kind of compounds that responsibility. And yet at the same time, the response that we get and the...
I think feedback through involvement is really informative. It does give us something, right? The fact that we are accruing more people as time goes on based on the topics that we're covering, I think that means that we are heading in the right direction. And I think the other thing that we are always talking about in our conversations about what should we be writing about, what should we be filming, is how is this going to be useful to someone who is in our community? Is it going to be useful? Does it have to be useful? Because sometimes I think it doesn't have to be useful in a sort of digging in the soil kind of way.
It can be fun.
It can be inspiring, right? It can be a curiosity satisfier. Do you know what I mean? It could be something that's giving a gardener something in some way. But we're always thinking, I think, about how to use a time-worn phrase, add value to the gardener's world, if you will.
Add to their toolkit. Am I getting in on the puns now?
You are. Yeah, we're hoeing that row.
We need to be celebrating, I'm sure. What? We're celebrating 1 million next.
I know.
We will celebrate. If we get 1 million community members, what are we going to do? We might even have some champagne. I don't know.
I think that's a great idea. Because why not?
because this is big. This is
Yeah.
somewhere we didn't necessarily think we'd get to in this time frame, and we are just happy and grateful that you guys are in on this with us.
So
And
grateful. It's such a ride. It's so much fun. And can you imagine 1 million at this speed? You know, how it might not be a terribly long time till we're there. Then who knows next?
That'll be good. It's a good problem to have.
Yay. It's a good way.
So I think we're here because we wanted to celebrate all that we all have done together.
Yes.
And really, we just wanted to thank you guys for being on this journey with us and supporting
Absolutely.
us.
Yeah. And informing us.
We are
for
so
sure.
chuffed
Yep.
and encouraged to keep going.
Yes.
Well, that was so nice. Thank you for coming out.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you for getting in front of the camera. You were awesome.
Thank you. That's kind of you to say.
Maybe we'll do this again when we get to 1 million.
I think that's a good plan.
Cool. See you then.
See you then.
Bye, guys. See
Bye.
you next time.